Fight fans, welcome to the PBC Podcast, brought to you by Premier Boxing Champions with your host, Kenneth Bouhairie and Michael Rosenthal.
Welcome, everyone, to the PBC Podcast. I'm Kenneth Bouhairie.
And I'm Michael Rosenthal, editor of USA Today's Boxing Junkie.
Thanks, as always, for tuning in. Joining us this week is unbeaten super middleweight titleist David Morrell Jr. We'll be talking to Coach Kenny Ellis as well. Ellis is the co-trainer of Gervonta Tank Davis and just someone with a wealth of knowledge regarding the sport. Mike and I will break down last weekend's action and, of course, go toe-to-toe. But first, last week as a whole was just a whirlwind. The press conference kicking off a legitimate boxing super fight, Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia Saturday, April 22nd on SHOWTIME Pay-Per-View. We had the first press conference in New York, and then there was one in Los Angeles. Mike, what were your thoughts on what you saw?
I thought it set the table for arguably the biggest fight of the year, which is the point of these press tours. They both brought good energy to the dais, particularly in Los Angeles, I thought. They got into each other's faces, even making some physical contact, which is always a dramatic thing. I'm sure the fans were entertained, and that's what this is all about, right? Entertainment. So I'm guessing Showtime and company are pleased, and I think more and more people are excited about this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this could be one of the biggest fights in years, It just feels great to see a boxing match, enter that mainstream lane. What stood out to you the most?
Davis's comments on Garcia being a one-dimensional fighter, one who relies solely on his left hook. We talked about this a little bit, off the podcast, which got me thinking more about it. Now, obviously, Garcia is not a one-trick pony, if you will. He has a strong amateur background. He can box. And while his best weapon is his left hook, he certainly brings more weapons to the table. At the same time, I see what Davis and his team are saying. I think one could argue that Garcia has demonstrated at an elite level that he's a special. He hasn't demonstrated at an elite level that he's a special fighter, at least not yet. Beyond the quick hands and the left hook. Davis has demonstrated that, so I get it. I just happen to think we're going to see more from Garcia, whether it's in this fight or fights, beyond that.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can see the tools are all there, and plus the boxing field, the base, the background, just the experience at the pro level might be a little different. The one thing that stood out to me was that the size difference. It wasn't as substantial as I thought. Ryan always appears much taller in the ring. I also love the face-off in Los Angeles, just really the whole LA vibe. But, the back and forth, I think we're going to see a great build-up, a great fight, and a great event. Let's bring in our first guest who has plenty to say about this fight. He is the longtime co-trainer of Gervonta Tank Davis and will be in Davis's corner April 22nd when Tank takes on Ryan Garcia on SHOWTIME Pay-Per-View. Baltimore's own Kenny Ellis. Coach Kenny, I know it's been a crazy past few days with the press conferences and the back and forth. As a trainer, is that something you enjoy, or are you just thinking about when is the next time we're going to get in the gym?
Yeah, I prefer to be in the gym. I know it comes to show business, and you got to do certain things to sell a fight, but it get hectic at times, because the fighter have to train. That's the most important thing to get ready for the fight. So, yeah, I prefer to be in the gym.
Now, you got a chance to kind of see Ryan up close. I mean, him and Tank did a lot of trash talking at each other. What are your thoughts on Ryan?
The first thing, he's not as tall as the videos make him look, and the internet pictures and stuff, And Tank reaches longer than Ryan, I noticed that right away.
Really? That's interesting. Tank's got a longer reach, you said?
Yeah, he got a longer reach.
Wow.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. Tank said repeatedly that he doesn't believe Ryan is a complete fighter. What do you see when you study the tape of Ryan Garcia?
Every fighter has flaws, but Ryan is he has flaw on top of flaws. You know what I mean?
Really?
He Yeah, he got a lot of flaws. He's strong though, but he's like a strong amateur. Yeah, he makes a lot of fucking mistakes. Every fighter has a flaw, but goddamn, right? You know what I mean?
Well, what can you tell us, like one or two that really stand out?
Well, everybody knows the number one. His chin is in the air like a damn stop sign. You know, I can't go into details. I don't want them to know what our game plan is. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But is that something you can fix? Like your chin being in the air, is that something he can improve on, or?
Long enough. If you work on it long enough, yeah, you can improve on it. But he hasn't been with Goosen long enough to perfect it. You know, he might start with his chin tucked, but it's gonna go back up. You know.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, is Garcia Tank's toughest opponent, at least on paper? But it sounds like you've already answered that he isn't.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But in your opinion, what makes Tank the better fighter?
Tank is a complete package, man. He can box, he can bang, he can take pain, he can dish it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You name it, Tank can do it. Speed, power, everything.
Yeah. Now, I mean, what you guys...
Tank loves to fight.
You said Tank loves to fight?
He loves to fight. He ain't just doing it for the money. He loved to fight and fight his entire life since he put on Pampers, you know?
Do you think that could be the difference in a fight, too, with Ryan or anybody else, the fact that, you know, Tank can dig a little deeper, you know, than the opponent?
Yeah, that's probably a big factor, you know. Tank love to engage. Ryan don't love to engage, you know.
Now you guys have what we call a Baltimore connection. You, Calvin, and Tank. You're a Baltimore native. How has the city changed over the years?
Oh man, the streets of Baltimore in the last 20 years is treacherous, man. I mean, we have over 300 murders every year, not sometime, every year. Actually, for the last 30 years, you know, and half of those murders are in our zip code where we live, you know. So you just gotta keep your head on a swivel everywhere you go, you know.
How did you tell us how you got into boxing in the first place?
When I was a kid, I used to fight a lot in school myself, and a mutual friend of mine, he took me to another friend's house, and he had a boxing trophy. And growing up as a kid, you know, you see the football trophies, you see the basketball trophies, you know, you see the everyday trophies. But it was the very first time I seen a boxing trophy, and I was so amazed because I never seen a boxing trophy before. The first thing I said, I got to get me one of them. And I had my dad take me, you know, he took me to the Mac Lewis gym, and I got my first trophy, you know. And that's what started. And then I started training fighters myself in 99. In 1999, I started training fighters. I was training kids in the neighborhood, but I was an official trainer in 99. I started training fighters in the gym through USA Boxing, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite fighters, guys that you followed growing up, like as a kid?
Oh, man, there's so many of them, man. I like, shit. Some of the guys that wasn't considered great, I like Boza Edwards, Mugabe.
Cornelius Boza Edwards, that's right.
He was so much fun to watch.
Boom Mancini, Matthew Hilton, Sugar Ray Leonard. Some of the guys are great. Muhammad Ali, Tommy Hearns. The list goes on and on, man. Marvin Hagler, Duran. It's a lot of them. It's nonstop. You know what I mean? I forgot his name. It was another guy. What was his name? I forgot. He fought 125 pounds back in the 80s. I forgot his name. He was one of the greatest champions ever. Pedraza was his name.
Eusebio Pedraza, I think, was his name. I think that's
what is it?
I think, is it Eusebio? Mike, you remember him? Eusebio Pedraza?
It could be. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah.
You know, it was a few of them, man.
It's crazy just listening to you talk. You know, you mentioned Tank loves to fight, but, you know, it sounds like you have a real love for the sport, too.
Oh yeah, it's the best sport in the world. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I mean, I watch boxing every single day of my life for the last 44 years. I watch some YouTube, CDs, DVDs, VHS, Showtime, HBO. I watch boxing every single day for the last 40. I mean, I literally watched boxing somewhere for the last 40-something years.
Is there anyone? What about the fighters today? But aside from Tank, are there other fighters that you enjoy watching?
Yeah, I had to grow on the Charlo brothers. For a minute, I wasn't too, keen on them, but I had to grow on the Charlo brothers, man. They proved themselves over and over again. Shucks. It's quite a few of them. I can't name them right off, but gotcha. Yeah, it's a few of them that I watch today.
Now, how long did you box, as an amateur, and did you ever consider turning pro?
Back then, it wasn't like money like it is now. I did it just because I like to fight. I went in the gym when I was 12, turning 13, and I had my last amateur fight when I was 21. Wow. And I kind of fell to the streets, lost my concentration, started doing things at the age of 18 up until I was 21. I was in and out the gym, and that's why I stress it to the kids today to stay focused, because it's easy to lose your focus. And once you lose your focus, you might try to bounce back, but you can't. I got pulled into the streets, and I found a way to make some money. I wasn't never a drug dealer or anything, but it's ways you can make fast money in the streets. And once you make that fast money, it's hard to just stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How did you connect with Coach Calvin?
Oh man, I met Calvin when he first came home in '99. He was trying to get a gym started. He finally did get a gym started. So I started taking some of the kids from my gym over to his gym so they could spar and get his kids ready to fight. And man, some things happened at the gym where I was. So me and Calvin linked up, and man, the chemistry has been great, man. What I like about Calvin when I first met him, he had a deep passion for the sport. It wasn't about trying to take a kid and make money with him. But when you do things right, money come with it. But Calvin's passion was for the kids, and I had the same passion. It was love for the kids first, you know what I mean? It wasn't about, trying to make money. That wasn't even on our mind. It's just so happened when you do things right, money come with it,
That's right.
For the record, we were trying to think of Eusebio Pedrosa, by the way, just for the record.
Okay.
Now, yeah. now back to Tank. Tell us how you first met Gervonta.
His uncle brought him to the gym when he was 7 years old, man. And he was a fighter when he walked through the door. I mean, we taught him boxing skills to go along with his fighting ability. And when Tank first stepped in the ring, he used every inch of that ring, man, like he was here before. He used every inch of the ring. It was unbelievable. And that's how I met him. His first amateur fight, man, Calvin worked with him. He looked like a professional fighter, And that's how I met him, man. The kid was just different. He was different, man. He was different. He is different,
Right. I know this is kind of a big question, but what do you think has made him so successful so far in his career?
Things he went through as a kid, the pain and experiences, We lost a lot of kids in the gym, and Tank witnessed a lot of stuff, And every time he stepped in that ring, he know his opponent is trying to send him back where he come from, and he refused to go back there,
Yeah.
I wonder if people underestimate the power of what you just described. Sort of using your experiences growing up to taking that into the ring with you and using that against your opponent. Do you think people really appreciate the power of that?
Some people just don't understand. They just don't understand. It, because they wasn't there, and they just don't know.
Right.
They just don't know the inner strength that comes from a person because of something they experienced in the past.
Well, a lot of the fighters come from poor upbringing, so I think a lot of them sort of use that to motivate themselves. But yeah.
Exactly. it's something. When you fight a kid from the ghetto, it's a different beast, man. You know, it's a different beast.
Now, inside the ring, where have you seen the most improvement from Tank over the years?
His maturity. He's starting to mature. You know, some people that you may have seen with him a few years ago is not with him anymore. You know, he's a family man. You know what I mean? He's just a all-around good person, man. You know, the media sometimes don't put that out there. They just want to focus on things that they heard, bad things. Half of it's not true, you know. But Tank is a very, very nice person, man. You know.
Do you think he can get even better? I mean, he's in his prime now. Do you think he can even get better than what you're seeing at this point?
Yeah. Think it's just so happens. Can't nobody, you know, they can't stand with him long enough so he can show his skill. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah. Obviously, you're a fan in addition to being a trainer. Does Tank remind you of any other boxer like you've ever seen?
Yeah. I tell everybody, you put Mike Tyson, Aaron Pryor, and Roberto Duran in the ring and shake them up, you get Tank.
What is it about those guys that reminds you of Tank?
They vicious, man. They was vicious. They was relentless, you know? And they had high tolerance for pain.
I think if Tank is maybe a little bit more methodical than Tyson and Pryor, maybe he's a little bit more like Duran. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think he has a better IQ, though. You know, he's a better boxer than all of them. Yeah.
Well, if he's a better boxer than Duran, then you really got something going there.
Yeah. So he can box. Tank can box. Yep.
To switch gears a little bit, your daughter Mia is also a pro boxer, a rising prospect. We saw her last fight at Capitol Arena where she stopped Karen Doolin, I think you pronounce it, in one round.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought she looked fantastic. What did you make of her performance?
Actually, we chose Karen Doolin because she had numbers, and she was known to go the distance. So I wanted to take that fight just to see where Mia was, you know, can she take Mia the distance or, you know, and the outcome was crazy because I was looking to go the distance because even though she had quite a few losses, she'd been the distance with some tough girls, you know, and Mia clipped it in the first round. So, I mean, I gave her an A for that fight, you know?
Yeah, she looked strong. I mean, that right hand was well thrown, you know.
It's crazy.
That was a beatdown.
We studied Tommy Hearns and what's the guy named that beat Shane Mosley twice? He passed away.
Vernon
Forrest.
Yeah. We studied Hearns and Vernon Forrest and Larry Holmes, the way they dropped their right hands, and that's what she did because she liked throwing her right hand. So we studied fighters with good right hands for that fight, you know.
It's perfect for her because she's got that frame, you know. So she's got the range where she throws that right hand. It's like a missile, like from long range, you know.
Yeah, she throw it, you know.
Yeah. Now, as her father, did you expect that she would get into boxing one day, or was it a surprise?
She's my youngest of three. My oldest girl, she boxed, she sparred, but she didn't want to compete. My middle daughter, she loved boxing, but she never put a pair of gloves on in her life. When Mia came along, man, she put on gloves. Man, as soon as she started walking, and one day when I took her to the gym when she was about 4, and she wanted to get in the ring, I let her get in there. And she kept coming back. And one day she got hit real hard by a boy. And I'm gonna see if she asked to come back. And then damn, next day she was in the gym. So, you know, and I always tell her, you know, you don't have to do this. You can stop any day, anytime you want. But she's still pushing, you know.
Is it tough to watch your daughter fight, or do you feel more comfortable because you're literally in her corner?
Not just because I'm in a corner, because I understand the sport. You know, I understand things that the casual fans don't know, you know. And to me, it's just like, you know, taking your kid somewhere else to learn how to do karate, you know.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Right. When is she going to fight again, you know?
She's on the undercard April 22nd.
There you go. Very good. Looking forward to that. So you and Calvin are still heavily involved in the amateur boxing program. How has that changed over the years?
We still go to the tournaments. After the last fight, me and Calvin went back home, and 2 days later, we was in Georgia somewhere at a tournament. And then to come from Georgia, we went to another Silver Glove tournament. So it hasn't changed. As long as we can, it's in our schedule to go. We're gonna always deal with the youth. The youth are you know, our future. If we can't make it, we have other coaches at the gym that can take them. You know, other coaches in place. But we in this thing for the long haul, man. You know, we got kids that's just coming in the door, 8 years old. We're ready to do the same cycle all over again, you know?
Wow.
That's pretty cool. And you know, obviously all the focus is on Tank, and now we're talking about your daughter, but who are some of the other fighters you work with?
Stacy Selby, he's 3-0. We have Platino Oliver, 2-0. We have in camp with us right now, Jalil Hackett. Jalil Hackett is 6-0. We have Lorenzo Simpson. Lorenzo Simpson is 12-0. You know, we've got quite a few fighters coming.
That's great. Now, getting back to Davis. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
The difference between me and Calvin, other than Jalil, he's been hanging with us since he was 8, 9 years old. We're close to his dad. The fighters that we train, man, they've been in and out gym since they were 6 or 7 years old. They homegrown. You know, we get fighters that come from other gyms, but most of the fighters that we deal with, they're homegrown. We had them from day one, you know?
That's great. Now, obviously the big fight coming up, how has camp been so far for Tank?
It's been great, man. On schedule, training hard, eating right, sleeping good, you know? Everything is great.
Is there better sparring in Las Vegas, or you think the environment is helpful? Or
it's funny you ask that. You know, for years before I ever came to Vegas, they said, "Oh man, you go to Vegas, you get the best work in the world." I don't find that true, man. These guys, man, you miss a sparring and they don't come in the gym the next day. They I call it bluff, man. You know. And when I'm on it, when you're on the East Coast, you go anywhere and get sparring. You can walk in the gym and you don't even have to announce that you're coming. But out here, you got to set it up, and you know what I mean? And it's crazy. Yeah. We got guys out here now, we want to spar right now, but you got to set it up, and then guys don't show up, you know?
Yeah.
But if you go on their video page, you see them working hard, sparring, and all these vicious sparring sessions. Where's it at? You know what I mean?
They don't want to spar Tank. That's
we have Lorenzo Simpson, Jalil Hackett. Man, we be out here to get some work.
Right,
Where is the work?
Right. Even for the younger guys, that's right. Last question for you. April 22nd, what kind of fight can we expect?
I don't want to scare Ryan, so I'm going to say a 12-round.
You just did.
It's gonna be epic, man. You know.
Yeah, you think nice one of those kind of performances?
We Tank is ready to go 20 rounds if he had to, but if Ryan if he can take the infliction, it'll go 12 rounds. If not, you know the outcome.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us. We enjoyed it.
Oh, man, thank you for having me on.
Anytime. Yeah, for sure. We look forward to April 22nd, and we'll see you then.
Okay. See you then. Thanks.
All right.
The hostility between these two guys is real.
March 25th.
My objective is putting a beating on Caleb Plant.
Knockout artist and two-time title holder David Benavidez takes on the smooth technician and former champ Caleb Plant.
I need to teach him a life lesson.
And no one's backing down.
I'm gonna beat the living out of you. You're not gonna do nothing.
David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, Saturday, March 25th, live on pay-per-view.
PBC was back last Saturday on Showtime, coming from Sydney, Australia. The native son, Tim Tszyu, battling former world champion Tony Harrison for the vacant WBO interim 154-pound world title. And Tim Tszyu is here, folks. He scored an impressive 9th-round TKO and is now in line to face the king of the division next, undisputed 154-pound champ, Jermell Charlo. That matchup just got a lot spicier. We'll touch on that in a sec. But first, Mike, what were your thoughts on the fight?
Well, it went more or less as we both thought it would. We both thought that Tszyu would score a late knockout, and that's what happened. I wouldn't say it went exactly as I anticipated. I thought Harrison would move a little bit more than he did. Frankly, I thought he'd be a little bit more competitive. And while we both got the prediction right in this case, I didn't expect Tszyu to be that impressive. And I thought he was really impressive. He convinced me in that fight that he could end up as one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. Of course, he's got a great opportunity to prove that in his next fight. If he wins that fight, he's pretty much there. Kostya Tszyu was a pound for pounder. Has any father and son ever been on consensus pound for pound lists?
Yeah.
That would really be something. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you kind of touched on it a bit, but overall, what did you make of Tszyu's performance?
I thought he rose to the occasion. That's the expression I want to use. I know he had a lot of pressure on him. I thought it was his biggest test of his career, at least on paper. Again, I still have respect for Tony Harrison. Tszyu was fighting at home, which is great in one sense, but also adds a lot of pressure. Ask anybody who's fought in front of a passionate home crowd. And the dream opportunity against Charlo, as you mentioned, was on the line. So none of that seemed to really faze him, at least once the fight started. You know, he did what he does. He methodically, responsibly pressured Harrison, gradually broke him down, and then scored the kind of knockout that no one's going to ever forget. Honestly, it really doesn't get much better than that for the guy. I'll add one thing. I think he's a better boxer than some people might think. It takes some ability to do what he did, in that fight. So I have a lot of respect for him all the way around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, he looked like a serious threat on Saturday night. And, you kind of alluded to this, but his hands are a lot quicker than he's given credit for. He fights really well on the inside. He's got power in both fists. He's just a dangerous fighter. How about Harrison? How did he look to you?
I thought Harrison looked okay in some respects. The jab was an effective weapon, effective enough to win him some rounds, when he threw it. He had a few good moments when they exchanged power shots. I thought it was good at times in the fight. The bad was that he relied too much on the jab, and he didn't move like I thought he would again. He stood flat-footed, sometimes against the ropes more than he should have. I mean, it was pretty obvious. Maybe he doesn't have the legs anymore. Maybe it was Tszyu's pressure. Maybe it was the small ring that the announcers kept talking about, which gave him less room to maneuver. My guess is that it was probably all of the above. But the bottom line, I wouldn't call it a particularly strong performance. It was an okay performance at best from Harrison.
Where does he go from here?
Well, he hinted at retirement when he said afterward that he works, extremely hard and doesn't need any more victories. That to me kind of indicated that his gut reaction to the setback was that he's done. I think that might make sense for him. I think he could probably still fight guys that are near the top, but he's probably beyond his peak. And he hasn't had good results recently. He's 1-2-1 now in his last 4 fights. On the positive, he's only 32. He could probably still be competitive with guys like Sergio Garcia, who we outpointed last year. I just don't think that would be satisfactory enough for him. I think he sees himself as an elite guy, champion. He doesn't want to fight at the second tier. I'm guessing he's going to walk away. We had him on the podcast. We talked to him about his work with Alicia Baumgartner. He's been around boxing his whole life. He's a really smart guy. I think he'd be an excellent trainer. Maybe that's the direction he goes.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, there's no shame in losing to a guy who's probably top 3 at 154. There's plenty of guys out there that Harrison can be. Heck, he just, shut out Sergio Garcia last year. Ultimately, it's up to him. All 3 judges had it 77-75 for Tszyu at the time of the stoppage. Pretty close. What did you make of those cards?
I was a little bit surprised. The scoring probably was a little too close. as you mentioned, all three had it 77-75, which is 5 rounds to 3 only. I had it 78-74, which I know is only one more round for Tszyu. It just seemed to me that 3 rounds for Harrison was a lot. I thought Tszyu took the fight to Harrison and pretty convincingly outworked him almost the whole way. You know what, though, in the end, the right guy was leading after 8 rounds, and the knockout made the scoring moot. So it really doesn't matter that much. But I was a little surprised when I heard the numbers.
Yeah, I actually had it pretty close. I didn't score it, but I sensed that on the cards it could be close, even though Tszyu was in command. I mean, it happens like that sometimes, and I think Tszyu was probably going to start pulling away either way. But I get it. Hey, look, it was in Australia. I don't know if the judges bent over backwards, but you know, at the very least, Harrison was getting a fair shake. Does this fight change your opinion regarding Charlo versus Tszyu?
Maybe to some degree. You know, I gave Tszyu a chance to beat Charlo before the fight on Saturday. I guess I give him somewhat better chance now after what I saw. Do I think he will beat Charlo? No, I don't. Charlo is a different animal from Harrison, to use Charlo's words. Charlo is a better all-around fighter than Harrison, particularly in terms of his punching power. Huge gap there. Charlo's in his prime. He's about as dangerous. I think he's about as dangerous as any fighter in the world right now. I like Tszyu a lot, even more so after Saturday. Charlo is just a big challenge for him. I'm not saying that Tszyu can't win, but I favor Charlo.
Yeah. I mean, look, the fight definitely got a lot more interesting after Saturday night. The odds probably tightened up, but you still have to go with Jermell Charlo, who, quite frankly, is in the running for the best fighter in the world. That said, I think this is a fantastic matchup, and I'm looking forward to it once Jermell is recovered from his hand injury and, ready to go. It's time to bring in our next guest. He is the undefeated WBA 168-pound titleist from Cuba, David Morrell. David, first, we want to know, what's the latest with you? Are you in camp right now?
Bueno, David, contanos, ¿cómo estás? ¿Estás entrenando en este momento?
Sí, estamos trabajando ya, estamos trabajando ya, estamos ya en la a mediación ya de lo que es el campamento, y ahora como que, ¿sabes? El nivel ya ha subido bastante.
We are ramping up the intensity of training camp. We are focused, and we're really happy with how it's going. Looking forward to the challenges ahead.
Have you heard anything about when you might return?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, Luis de Cuba Jr. Called me, like, so no got exactly date of my next fight. For me, I mean, no got exactly the opponent. No got nothing for now. But I mean, I think I got it maybe in one month and a half, 2 months, maybe like I got it like my next fight.
Okay, so April, May sounds like.
Maybe May, April, like I don't know exactly day. I mean, Luis de Cuba Jr. like no, so no got nothing now.
Okay. David, so you've had a couple camps with Ronnie Shields now. Tell us what working with him has been like.
Yeah. He's my my next fight is the number 4. Me and Ronnie. Like he's exactly communication combination. Like he's pretty good.
You've also added Bob Santos to your team. Tell us what he brings.
Like primero que todo me ayuda mucho con lo que es el ánimo, él se comporta conmigo como si fuera mi papá, y principalmente es mi nutricionista, él es el que se encarga de lo que es el peso y esas cosas.
He takes a very much of like an overseeing approach, where not only does he help with my training, but he takes care of my nutrition, keeping my weight in check, stuff like that.
David, you're coming off the knockout win of Ido Newley in November. He was seriously injured after the fight, which I read was very difficult for you, but he has recovered. How did you handle all of that?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, it's not easy for me. Like 2 weeks. I mean, like my heart every time, thank you. You know, like what happened for him. What happened to the family, like in your country to him. I mean, it's crazy. Like 2 weeks is hard for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now you've had an amazing rise as a professional. You were 135 wins, 2 losses, and an amateur. And when you came into the pros, you looked like you were already ready for the top guys. What has been the biggest adjustment that you had to make from the amateurs to the pros?
Is an amateur is only 2 rounds. You know, here is 12, so it's different. Like I need like round per round, like attack, defense, move. You know, an amateur is different. An amateur, like you have like power. You attack every time. You know, so only 10 minutes. That's it.
Right.
You know. Yeah, that here is 45 minutes, like 1 hour. I don't know exactly time, but I mean, it's different. Like it's complicated. Like the first time for me, I remember like my number 3-5. You know, like every time it's attack. So everybody, hey, cut down. Like it's 12 round. No, it's 3. No, it's 5. No, it's 12 round. You know. Yeah. I think it is the more complicated for me. I mean, the like round per round, like different time, you know.
It sounds like fitness would also play a role in the transition then too, right?
It's the more important, like my physical, my energy, you know, my mind, so everything, like everything, like the process is very, very different amateur, man. I mean, I remember in Cuba, my father told me, hey, what do you think the pro? Yeah, it's same. You know, he's okay. Like now I'm here, like I know it's not the same, you know.
Not the same.
Yeah, it's more complicated, bro. I mean, first, there's a guy like I got it, you know.
So do you feel like 8 pro fights is enough for like the top guys like Benavidez and Canelo?
Yeah, of course. Like look my everything, like my head fight the 2 rounds, you know. Like I think maybe like the opinion the everybody is the same, you know. But my opinion like is like I'm ready, like I feel good. My mind is like focused, like is time training, is time training, you know. Like my vacation is vacation, like the play is play or whatever. But I mean, I think I'm ready, man. I think I'm ready.
Yeah. You're Cuban. Do you feel any extra responsibility as a Cuban to, you know, reach the highest heights, knowing that so many of your countrymen weren't able to do that? What you're doing now?
No, like the people of the Cuban is the people of the Cuban, like me is me, you know. I mean, no, like it's my work, you know. Like I know the I know work hard. I know it's money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's in my mind every time. Like go to the gym, and my mind is hard work is money. You know how work at the gym, or how work like the training every day. No workout like 7, 6, 5, whatever time in the morning. You know, go to the gym on time. Like, I mean, it's bad for you. You know, it's bad like for everybody. It's bad for you. I mean,
Right.
Is I think no, man. I mean, everybody, the Cuban told me, hey, you are tú eres la bandera de Cuban, bro. Like, I think, yeah, but like maybe it's Ugas saying like Lara, like Roberto Ramirez, you know, like it's Frank Sanchez, like right now the Cuban got it like a lot of boys, like it's represent like Cuba.
Were there any Cuban fighters that you looked up to when you were growing up?
Like my older brother, man. My older brother is my inspiration, like every time. My older brother is my inspiration every time. He's my outside of my team. Him is my coach. Okay. You know, like I got my opponent. Yeah, I say him. Hey, this is the opponent. So okay, give me 2 days, 1 day. Yeah, like in 2 days, 2 days, 1 day. Him, my other brother called me. Hey, Pampa, like the strategy is this. Dun, 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 dun. That's it.
So, you know, we have a big super middleweight clash Saturday, March 25th. David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant. What are your thoughts on the fight?
It's not easy, man. You know, like it's not easy. I mean, for me, it's 50-50. Caleb Plant is good, a really good boxer. Like Benavidez too. So Benavidez, I got a power. Is fast. Caleb Plant is fast. I got it like so it's too much move. You know, boom, boom, boom. So I think cualquiera de los dos que baje un poco como que la guardia, creo que va a ser el que, o sea, que se rinde primero, creo que va a ser el que perdería la pelea.
Whichever one wears down the most and lowers his guard even for a minute, that's the one that's gonna come up short, and the one that's able to keep up the intensity, that's the one that's gonna prevail.
These guys seem to really dislike each other, Benavidez and Plant. I don't know if you watched the press conference, but what do you think of the trash talk between these guys?
No, I mean, yo pienso que Plan fue bien inteligente. Supo como que sacar de sus casillas, ¿no? Como que desequilibrar a Benavidez por esa parte, lo hizo como que ver un poco como que no estaba como que bien, como que sabe, como que bien centrado en lo que quería, ¿me entiendes?
Plant was so smart. I was so impressed with him because he was able to push Benavidez's buttons and kind of take him off his game. So take my hat off to him because what he did in that press conference psychologically, stellar.
That's interesting. You don't seem like the type to get nasty. Do you have that in you at the press conferences?
No, but like, no, I mean, yo confío 100% en mí, o sea, yo sé lo que trabajé, yo sé lo que llevo, yo sé lo que puedo y no hacer, ¿entiendes? Like, cuando tú te demuestras así es porque se ve, tienes la impotencia o tienes algún tipo de desconfianza, no sé.
No, because I trust myself 100%. I know what my skills are. I know how I am both mentally and physically. And I feel like when you get triggered like that, or when you get when you get too intense, then that shows that you are either worried or that you don't trust yourself as much as you need to.
Interesting. You think you might get a crack at the winner of that fight?
Sí, ya, exactly. Es lo que ha pasado, es el contrato que acabamos de firmar. So, yo ganando mi siguiente pelea, pelearía con el ganador de esa pelea. No sé qué fecha sería, pero sería así.
Bring on the winner of that fight. I don't know what date that will be, but bring him on. I would be more than ready for him.
It's funny, you and David Benavidez have also gone back and forth for some time. Was that fight ever on the table for you?
No, nunca, nunca tuvimos esa oportunidad. Siempre quisimos y siempre estuvimos, como que poniéndole fuerza ahí, pero nunca se llegó a dar no recuerdo por qué, pero nunca se llegó a dar.
I don't really know why, but it was never really close to happening. I've been more than willing to make it happen, but the opportunity has never been close to making it a reality.
Why do you think there's been so much back and forth between you and David? There wasn't that much between you and other fighters in the division.
No, porque eso fue hace mucho tiempo. Él creo que dijo que, no me acuerdo qué pelea fue, hace como 2 años creo que fue, que dijo que nadie de la 168 quería pelear con él. Yo le dije, pues yo estoy aquí, o sea, yo tengo el título, en aquel entonces el título interino. Y ahora fue ¿sabes? Fue quitado eso, bueno, voy a pelear y fue cuando gané el título regular. Entonces, él dijo, ninguno de la 168 quiere pelear conmigo. Yo le dije, pues, o sea, yo estoy aquí, I'm here. ¿Cómo vas a decir a mí que nadie quiere pelear contigo si yo estoy aquí hace tiempo? ¿Entiendes?
It goes way back to when I won the title and I was like, okay, I'm ready for the next challenge. And at the same time, David was saying that nobody at 168 wanted to fight him. And I was thinking, what do you mean? I'm right here. Look, I'm waiting for you. And he didn't seem to want to listen. So ever since then, I've been hammering home the message of I'm here and I'm ready to face him, but to no avail.
Got it. Changing gears real quick. So this week, Canelo Alvarez announced he'll be fighting John Ryder next. What do you make of that fight?
Se caía todo, se perdía la pelea y perdía, creo que era el derecho a número 1 en el ranking, algo así. I mean, él creo que cogió la pelea con Canelo primero que todo por la bolsa. O sea, eso es algo obvio. Y pienso esta pelea que Canelo lo van a guiar, creo que antes de, no sé, ni casarte. Porque él no es ese boxeador así que uno diga, wow. No es un superstar así que uno pueda, con el más respeto que se merece, obvio, pero no es superstar que uno pueda decir que se le pudiera enfrentar a Canelo. A él se le envió un contrato, una oferta que en 30 días no firmaba, bueno, perdía el derecho a pelear por una faja, por lo que fuera, y se tenía que salir del número 1 en el ranking, o sea, de enfrentar a cualquiera que tuviera un título.
Y esa era una oferta que se la dieron a Canelo, ¿verdad?
No, a John Ryder.
A John Ryder. Okay. Entendí. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was trying to understand what he meant with a certain part of it. So basically what happened is with Ryder and Canelo is really interesting because Ryder had an offer sheet that he had to sign within 30 days in order to have the chance to fight someone like the number 1 in the ranking or lose it. So I understand why he took that chance. It's obviously about the payday too. I will be more than willing to fight against Canelo, but about that fight on May 6th, I think Canelo he's in a knockout Ryder with no real problem. I would expect an early knockout, and it's something that doesn't really. It's not a fight that I think has like the gravitas that other fights could have.
So I know that everybody want to fight with Canelo, for like you fight Canelo is a lot of money for you. But I mean, 168 got more people, anyways, this is one business, But I mean, for John Ryder, no, man.
David, some people believe Canelo is actually slowing down. Would you agree with that?
No. My opinion is Canelo is now is the time the Canelo. You know, like it's the time of like the before the time the Floyd, like before the La Hoyas. Everybody got it like the time. You know, like maybe 1 year, like 20 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't know, but everybody got it like the time. So. I think like him got a one strategy, you know, like I don't know what is, but I mean I think got a one strategy. So maybe no one more fight 3 years, 4 years. So I don't know. But no think Canelo is down. No.
Okay. And finally, getting back to you. So if you aren't able to secure the Plant Benavidez winner, who would you like to face next?
I don't know, man. I mean, whatever. Like, I'm here, so whatever guy fight me, like, I'm here. Like, I know, like, I know got it one no for back, so, well, whatever guy told me, hey, man, I want to fight, okay, I'm here, I'm ready. You feel me? You know what I mean? But yeah, but like the winner the Canelo plan is fight me, so 100%. I think, you know, 100%.
Okay, very good. Stay tuned. David, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing how this whole thing plays out.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
The hostility between these two guys is real.
March 25th.
My objective is putting a beating on Caleb Plant.
Knockout artist and two-time title holder David Benavidez takes on the smooth technician and former champ Caleb Plant.
I need to teach him a life lesson.
And no one's backing down.
I'm gonna beat the living shit out of you. You're not gonna do nothing.
David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, Saturday, March 25th, live on pay-per-view.
It's time for Mike and I to go toe-to-toe. And this week we ask, which underdog has the better shot of pulling off the upset? Is it Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez, Saturday, March 25th on SHOWTIME Pay-Per-View? Or is it Ryan Garcia against Gervonta Tank Davis on April 22nd? Plant or Garcia? Mike, who do you have?
Well, when I first suggested, you know, we consider this question, I really didn't know how I would answer it. I just thought it was an interesting question. I do believe fairly strongly that Benavidez and Davis are going to win their fights. But which one faces a more significant threat? So I gave it some thought and finally landed on this. Plant has a better chance to beat Benavidez than Garcia has of beating Davis, in my opinion. So here's why. I think that there are things that Plant does better than Benavidez. He's quicker, he's more athletic, probably more skillful. Although I think Benavidez is a better athlete and boxer than people might realize. I'm picking Benavidez to win because he has too much firepower for Plant. And maybe anyone else in the world, including Canelo Alvarez at this point. I have to give Plant a chance for the reason I stated, though. Maybe he sticks and moves and lands power shots just enough to win rounds, and maybe even slow Benavidez down. That would be difficult for anybody to do, but maybe, just maybe, Plant has the ability and the fitness level to pull that off. I suppose he could also hurt Benavidez like he did against Durrell, but that's a little bit more difficult to imagine. Now, real quick, on to Davis and Garcia by comparison. So I think both men are good all-around boxers, no matter what Davis says. I think they're both super quick, and they have both of them have off-the-charts elite punching power, like among the best in the world, which is why they're both unbeaten. The problem for Garcia is that, in my opinion, Davis is the better boxer based on what I've seen. We focus primarily on Tank's knockouts for obvious reasons, but he's a master in there, you know, including his defensive ability, which again I'll say I think is underappreciated. That makes all those stoppages all but inevitable, in my opinion. He also has more experience than Garcia at an elite level, which is significant. He's been on a big stage a number of times. Garcia arguably just one time against Luke Campbell, and maybe not even that time. Experience is important, just as it is in everything in life, not just boxing and sports. Now Garcia could have an advantage in size, but even that is sort of being taken away. He has to come down to 136, which is maybe not that big of a deal because he recently fought at 135, but there's also that 10-pound rehydration clause in the contract. That could work against him. Anyway, I like Garcia a lot. I just think that Tank is going to be a little bit too much for him.
Yeah, you make some great points. And speaking of great, I want to point out how great both of these matchups are. When you have fighters at this level, anything can happen. But, the more I thought about it and twisted and turned and looked at each angle, like you, I believe Caleb Plant has a better shot at upsetting David Benavidez than Ryan Garcia does against Gervonta Tank Davis. I like Ryan. He's got a deep amateur background. He's got underrated boxing skills to go along with that, size, length, elite speed and power, and that unwavering self-belief. But, like you, Tank Davis is special to me. I mean, he's fought and beaten better opponents. He has so much more experience at the pro level and can really do it all. I mean, he can box coming forward, backward, fight on the inside. He's pretty gifted athletically, too. Now, on the other hand, Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez is a true 50-50 fight, in my opinion. In fact, I'd argue that a lot of Plant's skills and attributes are being overlooked. Yes, Plant can box. He's got great athleticism, a solid technical base, excellent footwork, great jab, and hand speed. He's easily the best boxer that David Benavidez has ever faced. He's also sturdy, super middleweight. He's got some underrated pop. He's not going to easily be moved, which means that he just might be the strongest super middleweight that David Benavidez has ever faced. I don't think people are really factoring that, and to top it off, he has the big fight experience, something Benavidez doesn't have. So in my opinion, when you look at all these factors, Caleb Plant absolutely has the greater chance of pulling off the upset when he faces David Benavidez on pay-per-view March 25th.
Very, very good points on Caleb Plant. Actually, after hearing that, I give him a better chance now than I did before. I still just think that Benavidez is, again, a sort of a different animal, just like Charlo and Tszyu. I just think he's got crazy firepower right now, and he's really rolling. So, I listen. I love the matchup. It's going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still doing some film study. Looking over some things before, we, of course, next week we'll have to make our predictions. I'm going to save any prediction until then because I really want to think this through. I really do believe it's a true great 50-50 fight. Now, in your opinion, what would Ryan Garcia have to do in order to prove you wrong?
Listen, Garcia has a lot of ability, even if it's not quite up to the level of Davis. And nobody might have that level of ability. Maybe he rises to the occasion and gives the performance of his life. I can see his quickness giving Davis some trouble. Maybe he uses his length advantage, whatever that is in this case. Maybe he boxes better than we think he will, lands good shots consistently and knocks Davis off his game. That happens even to really good fighters. Or, and this might be more realistic, he hurts Davis. One thing I definitely believe Garcia has is one-punch knockout power. A perfect hook to the head or body could ruin Davis's day completely. That's hard to imagine because I think Davis, on top of everything else, I think he has a really good chin. But Garcia has that kind of power. I think he's got a shot in the fight, just not as big a shot as Plant does against Benavidez.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, Garcia definitely has a shot. I mean, that left hook, not just powerful, but it's fast. And he's got good timing with it. So that makes him an extremely dangerous fighter, in my opinion. But again, I mean, he's not facing, Gervonta Tank Davis is just a totally different animal. And besides that, Caleb Plant, I think, is far more proven than Ryan Garcia is. And that's going to do it for this week's show. We want to thank David Morrell and Kenny Ellis for catching up. And thank you guys, of course, for listening. Be sure to check us out next week for more boxing talk right here on the PBC Podcast.